I'm not on. Am I on? Oh, sorry, I'm on.
Test.
I realized that I thought I had to the push. I didn't have to touch it.
And Stoop.
Okay, I'm on.
Hello.
Test.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of Vesuvius Town Council, Monday, July 16th at 2 o'clock in the p.m. We're looking to adopt some minutes, and there would be committee of the whole minutes from July the 3rd and regular open minutes from July the 3rd. Any comments on those minutes? Councillor Ryan.
Yes, thank you. The Committee of the Whole has the wrong address for the Batula family. I think it was showing not at 89th Avenue or 87th Avenue, but another.
Okay, do you have that correction?
I think I do, yes. I think it should, it says 12 Santa Rosa, and I think it should say 9211 87th Street.
Okay. Okay, it's not a separate house? You don't think they live in one and rent the other?
When they were here, they gave their address as the one in question was 87th. They might live over there. I know the previous letter was addressed to that address, but
okay. Well, we'll have that corrected.
Yeah, but the one in question, I think, was the one on 87th.
Okay. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion now to adopt those minutes as corrected. Councillor McCordoff, Councillor Rhodes, all in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. Any business arising? No business arising. Late items. Councillor Ryan, you have a late item there for Jackpine Lane, I believe.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to indicate that we'll like to raise that issue and
okay.
Have
Great.
some
That
action
will
on it.
come up then. Jackpine Lane under Business 4. And also a motion to adopt that amended agenda. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Ryan, all in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. Some water, no delegations this afternoon, so we would be looking at some water matters of water accounts in the amount of $31,577.36 for approval. Councillor Morera, Councillor Laranjo. Any discussion on that? All in favor, opposed, carried. Correspondence, there's a report from the Okanagan Basin Water Board regarding the July 2012 meeting highlights. That was one of the meetings that I could not attend, as it was when we have that July 1st on a Monday, we kick into Tuesday, which was Okanagan Basin Water Board Day. So anyway, there's a report there, and a request from the City of New Westminster to UBCM members for support for resolutions concerning the South Fraser Perimeter Road and the new Port Mann Bridge, and we're looking to receive those 2 letters for information. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Plant. Any discussion? All in favor, opposed, carried. Going over to the bylaw portion of the meeting under H, bylaws. Report from Mr. Steve Shannon on the zoning amendment bylaw 1085.86 Walnut Beach Resort. Mr. Shannon, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider reading zoning amendment bylaw 1085.86 for the first time and to schedule a public hearing. The table on the front of the report describes the applicant, the owner, the application, and the application date, civic address. The purpose: to add marina as a permitted use to the CD5 Comprehensive Development Zone, and the list of attachments, which are the zoning amendment bylaw itself, property location map, letter of support from the Strata Corporation, and a letter from the general manager of Walnut Beach Resort. The Town of Vesuvius zoning bylaw only allows commercial businesses to operate from a marina. And in 2010, staff found it necessary to develop a wait list of commercial businesses wishing to operate on Vesuvius Lake. As a temporary solution to the problem, Council directed staff to allow commercial businesses to operate on a trial basis from a short list of resorts which had commercial zoning. As it turned out, Walnut Beach Resort was the only resort to take part in the offer. And earlier this year, Council directed staff to continue allowing commercial businesses to operate from Walnut Beach Resort for the remainder of the 2012 season. To assist Council and staff with advancing a best practices water zoning bylaw, the Recreational and Commercial Use Task Force was formed in 2010. The task force met several times over the following year, and their final meeting was held in October 2011. In February 2012, Council passed a resolution confirming their support for the recommendations of the LRCU task force. And as it relates to Walnut Beach Resort, the task force recommended that if they wanted to continue having commercial businesses operating from their moorage facility, they would have to apply for a zoning amendment subject to the resort guaranteeing adequate parking and procuring a provincial moorage tenure to allow commercial activities. On June 13, 2012, staff received a zoning amendment application and fees from the manager of the resort, which included a letter of support from the Strata Corporation, and that letter is attached. Zoning regulations associated with Walnut Beach Resort require a total of 149 parking stalls. So it should be noted that 6 of the required parking stalls are for visitor use. Currently, the resort has a total of 152 parking stalls in the underground parkade, providing a surplus of 3. To ensure there is adequate parking for the commercial businesses, the manager of the resort has advised staff that the underground parkade will be open daily from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day for that additional signage will be posted on the site directing patrons to use the underground parkade. They've also promised to segregate a total of 8 parking stalls closest to the parkade door. The visitor parking stalls are to be identified as visitor parking only and not to be used by a hotel guest. See attached the letter from the manager of Walnut Beach Resort. The applicant is also in the process of procuring the modifications to their strata moorage tenure to allow the commercial activities. And under implications for the community, commercial operators provide a service to the community. Under organizational, staff time will be required for enforcement. Under budget, commercial business license applications will generate revenue for the town. Under sustainability, allowing commercial operators to operate from a moorage facility is much better than some of the alternatives, such as operating from a shoreline. And under options, Council may read Zoning Amendment Bylaw 1085.86, 2012 for the first time and schedule a public hearing to be held Tuesday, August 21st, 2012 at 7 p.m. in the Council chambers. Number 2, request further information. Or number 3, direct staff to abandon Zoning Amendment Bylaw 1085.86, and staff recommend option 1.
So heading for the public hearing process on Tuesday, August 21st then. Councillor Plante, please.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I would like to put forth the motion of option number 1, and I can read that out if you'd like. Yeah, we'll do that. Read Zoning Amendment Bylaw 1085.86, 2012 for the first time and schedule a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, August 21st, 2012 at 7 p.m. in Council chambers.
And the seconder, Councillor Rhodes. Any dialogue on that, Councillor Rhodes? Any further discussion from Council on that? Pretty straightforward, and it allows them to have a business. I know I actually used I believe that's Desert Dream is the marina rental place over there. They were quite happy that they got out to operate over there. They're on a temporary now until this goes through, I understand, but at least they're in business, and they were quite pleased with it. So any other further dialogue on this? All in favor? Opposed? That has been carried. Next item up, thanks Mr. Shannon. Thank you. Next item up, recreation fees and charges bylaw. This has been here before. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Council gave first 3 readings to the Recreation Services Bylaw, Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 1180.09 2012 at the last regular meeting of Council on July 3rd. Staff is bringing this amended bylaw forward to Council for adoption. In summary, we have added the fees for the rental of the bus advertising, leisure guide advertising, and tent rental. In terms of implications, the community will, this will give businesses and service clubs an opportunity to advertise. We will also have a rental tent available for community events. Organizationally, the community services staff will administer these fees as part of our regular fees and services charges. This will generate revenue to offset our budget. There's no sustainability issues. 3 options are being presented for Council's consideration, that being that Council adopt the Recreation Services Fees and Charges Bylaw. Number 2, that the Recreation Fees and Services Charges Amendment Bylaw be returned to staff and more information requested. And the 3rd being that the Recreation Fees and Charges Bylaw be abandoned. And administration is recommending option number 1.
Thanks, Mr. Romansko. Council, please. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move option 1, the Council adopt the Recreation Services Fees and Charges Amendment by Law number 1180.09, 2012.
And the seconder, Councillor McCordoff. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That has been carried. Next up is the sign bylaw number 1282. Mr. Phil Armstrong, our planning technician.
Good morning, Mayor, or good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Attached is signed bylaw number 1282-2012, which is being presented to Council for 3rd reading as further amended. On June 3rd, 2012, Council agreed with the revisions added by staff after the on July 3rd, 2012, Council agreed with the revisions added by staff after the June 11th, 2012 public hearing. Please refer to the attached previous report for a summary of these revisions, and note that these revisions do not change the intent of the bylaw, so another public hearing is not required. The bylaw will have to be approved by Ministry of Transportation before adoption. Some of the implications for the community are the purpose of the bylaw, describe them quite well, so I'll just read them out here. Promote the town's aesthetic attractiveness as a resort community. Promote effective advertising that informs rather than confuses customers and avoids excessive visual competition between signs. Limit distraction from commercial signs for the safety of drivers and pedestrians. Minimize nuisance from signs in residential neighborhoods. Promote dark sky protection with reduced upward light loss. Promote energy conservation and regulate safe sign placement, construction, and maintenance. Without a sign bylaw, we are very vulnerable to the threat of very undesirable signage coming into our community, for example, billboards. Organizational, this is a business plan item, and the town has spent considerable effort to achieve a level of community buy-in and acceptance into the sign bylaw. Budget will involve considerable staff time for permitting, and in the short term, significant staff time for enforcement measures. When the bylaw returns for adoption, there will be an enforcement matrix submitted to Council for their consideration. Sustainability, the bylaw promotes energy conservation by enforcing LED and energy efficient lighting for new signs. So the options are Council give 3rd reading to the bylaw as further amended and direct staff to forward it to MOT for their approval. Option 2 is Council does not give 3rd reading to the bylaw. Staff recommends option 1.
Thank you. Over to Council, please. Councillor Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to move that Council give 3rd reading to this bylaw and direct staff to forward it to the Ministry of Transportation for their approval.
Thank you. And that seconder, Councillor Plante, please. Discussion on this, please. Councillor Ryan.
Yes, I'd just like to say that this bylaw has been given a lot of attention by members of the public, by our business community, and by staff and Council. And this 3rd reading with the changes represents taking into account some of the important items that were brought out at the last, or the first public hearing, or the second public hearing, actually the most recent one that was held. So it has continued to evolve, and I think represents pretty well the consensus of both our business people and our Council and staff.
Thank you. And excuse me. I'd just like to, at this time, thank both the Director of Planning, Alan Cunningham, and Phil for all their efforts in doing this and taking it back. And we really, on this one here, I'm always going, did we get it right? Do we have it right? This one we got right. It took us many runs at it and many attempts, but the people that we've been dealing with, the commercial businesses in the town, they're quite satisfied with this. As a matter of fact, in our very short lunch break, I happened to run into Darrell of Asuya Signs, and I said, you know, we're going to give third reading to the sign bylaw, and his comment was great. So we even as early as late as this morning, we were still looking at some of the third-party issues and how we're going to deal with that. So when we do pass this, there certainly we'll have our ears on the street. We still want your feedback, and we will be looking at legitimizing some of the third-party sign issues that are out there. So this is moving ahead, wayfaring signage, and that I think is just real positive for the town. Anyone else have some comments? Hearing none, heading for third reading. All in favor? It is passed. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Armstrong. Next on the agenda is Federation of Canadian Municipalities request for support. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Enclosed in the package, you'll find an email from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. I'll just refer to them as FCM. That outlines their efforts to lobby for a new community infrastructure funding program. The SUYUS has benefited from projects that were partially funded through federal provincial infrastructure programs. Recent projects include the Northwest Sewer Line and the 85th Avenue reconstruction. The attached information includes a sample model resolution that FCM is asking to be passed and forwarded to the federal and provincial contacts and the FCM. It is hoped that a show of support will enable FCM to successfully lobby and work with government to design a program that meets the needs of communities. The implications include the community benefits from receiving infrastructure grants to improve their infrastructure. No organizational impacts beyond the time it spends to make these applications. Budget successful applications enable projects to proceed with fewer costs to the community. And sustainability, some projects can assist with environmental and economic sustainability. 3 options are being presented. 1, to support the FCM efforts by passing the sample resolution. And number 2, don't respond to this FCM request. And 3, provide a made in the SUYUS resolution. And I can just quickly identify the content of the resolution. There's a number of whereases, including the resolution development of a new long-term federal plan for municipal infrastructure funding, whereas the Building Canada Plan and a number of important federal provincial transfer agreements vital to Canada's cities and communities will expire in March 2014, whereas federal investments over the last few years have helped to slow the decline of our cities and communities, and the Government of Canada has committed to develop a new long-term plan for municipal infrastructure funding in consultation with municipal and provincial territorial governments, and whereas a seamless transition from the Building Canada plan to a new long-term plan is necessary to ensure that municipalities can continue planning for their capital spending effectively, and whereas the FCM has launched a campaign to ensure a new plan reflects municipal priorities across the country, and asks its member municipalities to pass a council resolution supporting the campaign. And whereas our community has continuing infrastructure needs that can only be met through the kind of long-term planning and investment made possible by a national plan, therefore it be resolved that council endorses the FCM campaign and urges the Minister of Transport, Infrastructure and Communities to work with FCM to ensure a new long-term infrastructure plan meets the core infrastructure needs of the cities and communities. Be it further resolved that the Council urges the Minister of Transportation, Infrastructure and Communities to ensure that the new long-term plan is fully in place when existing programs expire in 2014. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the Minister of Transport, Infrastructure and Communities, to the BC government and the local MP, to the Federation of Community Municipalities, and to the UBCM.
Thanks, Mr. Remenko. So this would be basically a request for continuation at our current level and or improving it.
Well, I think the intent here is to try and the FCM is doing a series of roundtables, getting information from municipalities across Canada as to what is the best system for funding, for developing a new infrastructure program. Is it a per capita grant? Is it a base grant and a per capita plus? Okay. Or is it just where many of our grant programs is you identify a project and you apply and you hope you get funding, right, and you get turned down, and you've invested all the staff time to and engineering to get the job done. So they're trying to promote that through the consultation process, they will receive the best information as to how to develop this new program, so that when the existing program finishes, then the new program will kick in right away in the best possible mechanisms.
Okay, great. Thank you. Council, please. Councilor McCordock.
Yeah, sure. I would like to move option 1, that we support the FCM's efforts by passing the sample resolution. Makes sense to me.
Thank you. And that seconder, Councilor Plant. Discussion, please. Councilor Plant.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's nice to see that with this program actually expiring in 2014, that the FCM is actually looking at it at this point already, with a lot of our communities' continued infrastructure needs, that this plan will look at that. So I'm actually somewhat impressed that they're looking at this earlier. It's not a last-minute thing, and that they put the plans in and are starting that process. So thank you.
Great. I know FCM is being involved with the Okanagan Basin Water Board in a two-day workshop up there, looking at, I think, structure and deliverance and things like that from their perspective. So they are getting out there. It's nice to see them being proactive rather than reactive. And yes, any further discussion on that? I won't ask for the motion to be read back.
Thank you.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. The next item up, liquid waste agreement. Again, Mr. Remenko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. On May 22nd, 2012, the administration brought a draft agreement for council's consideration on the relationship between the regional district and the town in handling of liquid waste. Council reviewed the draft agreement and provided administration direction in terms of some changes they'd like to see to that agreement. The regional district has responded with a new draft agreement, which is enclosed, and we're looking to see whether this particular agreement meets council's direction. I'm looking for signing authority to attached agreement based on council's resolution. One of the things that's come up is that in the draft agreement that council has in their package, there's article number 9 speaks specifically to only providing service to the regional district and the town of Oliver, and subsequent to this agreement being looked at, that we've had a request from Osoyoos Cottages to take their liquid waste, and so the way this agreement is worded, we would not be able to do that. So I've contacted the regional district, and they've come back as of this morning with a changed Article 9, and that article reads, the parties agree that this facility shall be used shall be for the use, but not limited to, the original participants, namely the town of Osoyoos, town of Oliver, and areas A and C of the regional district of Okanagan-Similkameen. So that opens the door. Should the town wish to provide services beyond the boundaries, that's not a problem. And they were just more comfortable with the wording the way it was provided here. So I would recommend that council accept that particular replacement article as I've read it into their deliberations here. In terms of looking at implications to the community, broader community benefits from having a place to put the hauled liquid waste. There's no organizational differences to us. The budget liquid waste contributions assist with the landfill operations, and sustainability. The environmental damage from liquid waste handling is limited to a controlled area. So the options that are being presented to council include three of them. The first being approve the participation agreement with the regional district for liquid waste handling, provided Article 9 is as I read out in the meeting, and authorize the CAO to sign the agreement on behalf of the town. Option 2, make additional changes to the agreement, and number 3, visit the direction to enter into a new agreement, and the administration is recommending option 1.
Okay, thank you. I have a question, I guess, on that. When you were reading out that the item 9 as Oliver, Silius Area A and C, the request is from the Indian Band Lands.
That's right. So in Article 9, the way the new wording would read, it's the parties agree that this facility shall be for the use, but not limited to the original participants.
Oh, I see.
So
okay, it's up to it's up to us.
That's right. We can choose as a town if we want to provide services beyond those particular boundaries, but service has to be provided to those areas.
Okay. The next concerns. The next concerns would be until they establish 30 homes over there, and you know, we have such an issue over there with the Asuias Desert Center, and all that we've been through with them year after year after year, and I thought we were going to get less of this type of situation, the sewage situation, rather than more. And here comes another whole round, and we haven't had any discussion with them, or have we had discussion with the Desert
No,
Center folks?
we're not dealing with their request at this point in time. We're only dealing with the agreement.
Okay.
I had just attached a letter to show council that in fact we had got this request.
Okay.
So I'll be bringing back the actual request for service to council at the probably at the August meeting.
Okay. Okay.
And then council can deliberate whether or not they even want to pursue this particular service.
Sure, sure. Okay, no, that makes perfect sense. Thank you very much. Over to council, please. Councilor Ryan.
Yeah, I'd like to. Well, I guess we should
Get the
move it
motion
and get it on the floor. Okay, so I'll move it.
Okay, and that seconder would be Councilor Rhodes. Discussion.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I do have some questions. I wasn't happy with the clause being dropped entirely, so I'm pleased with the rewording. I had come up with some stronger wording where I used in our sole discretion, which I always like. But I think that worked. However, I do see some implications, and I just want to clarify this in Clause 11, which talks about disputes that might arise from the operation. And it talks about, it uses the phrase, any disputes that cannot be settled excuse me, among the parties will be referred to a single arbitrator jointly appointed by the parties. Now, is it correct that the parties to this agreement are merely ourselves and the regional district?
That's right.
Okay. So we're really talking only about two parties, and we don't have to worry about anybody else that we might take in to provide the service to.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. So I do think that this helps, and presumably from my reading of it, it looks like even though we didn't use the words sole discretion, we do in fact control the service.
That's right. We control the service.
Well, now I'm getting a little confused after that statement from Councilor Ryan. So this is, they have input into the operation of that? Because we just went through this when we said no more liquid septage, take it somewhere else. But then am I understanding now that the regional district could contest that? And we'd have to go to arbitration?
Well, my sense is in terms of the operations, any disputes arising from the operations. So I guess they're looking for a sense of comfort that they will have an opportunity to try and discuss or have an arbitrator involved should there be disagreement on the operations of the facility.
So if we said we're not accepting, because this thing keeps coming around, and 4 years out or something like that, how long is the agreement for?
2 years.
Well, this agreement is open-ended with a notice period.
Right.
So rather than having to do an agreement every 2 or 3 years, it's like we'll continue to provide the service unless we choose to. If we choose not to, we'll give you 2 years' notice.
And that all makes sense. Other than it's quite a contentious issue and has been. And I'm backing off from this because I think we're giving away. If we don't want this to continue, we're going to have to go to an arbitrator. And the way it was before, we said no, we don't want it. No, and we have a really good, dealing with the regional district folks. But it seems we're giving away the ultimate right, and that right is ours, and it does affect. We've had other people that live in the neighborhood that have complained as residents in that area of some of the smells also. So it goes beyond the desert center, and it appears that we're giving that right away, that it is ours, and we should be able to say, as we did before, we said no, we're not taking any more, and then they were going to build one in Oliver, and that didn't work, environmental issues and all that, and then we opened it up again. So it's certainly, the town of Vesuvius is certainly being fair, but we could get into a situation where it's not right. Maybe I'm overplaying this.
I think you make a good point. This clause 11 was in the original agreement that we always operated under.
Okay.
It was just transferred over, but in terms of a fine point of what is kind of defining what is arising from the operations of the agreement, we could go back to them and say very clearly, this is our facility, we'll run it the way we want to, and we're not dealing with any arbitrator, and we'll just demand that clause 11 be removed.
Does that make sense? That's okay? Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would have to agree with that as well. When it defaults to liability, I think all of the liability with every occurrence at our landfill and the liquid waste part of it is ours. And when you have that ultimate responsibility and liability, I think that we need to be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay.
That's kind of the way I feel about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would support deleting that, because if they wanted to play hardball, they could procrastinate, and they could come up with people maybe that we didn't we couldn't agree on, or they would disagree with our nominee, and there's no out here. You've got to agree, and presumably everything goes on until you agree. So I say if we can swap 9 for 11, take out 11.
Okay, so we'll moving forward with Xing clause 11. Any further discussion on that?
So our motion would be to approve it
Yes.
without clause 11,
Yes.
with the
Yep.
new 9 and
Yep.
no 11.
Right. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That has been carried. Thank you. The next item. This is an interesting item. The Community Infrastructure Improvement Grant. Again, Mr. Romanko, we just sort of banged through this one this morning, so it's certainly fresh. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Attached, please find information relating to a new grant program that was announced last week with an August 2nd, 2012 deadline for application on the first intake. If funds are remaining, a second grant intake will occur in November. This grant is focused on rehabilitation, improvement, or expansion of existing community infrastructure assets that are non-commercial in nature. Grants can be used to expand existing infrastructure that doesn't result in large increases in footprint of the asset. However, bike or walking trail expansions are identified as acceptable projects. The grant can't be used to develop new facilities. This is a 50% matching grant to a maximum of $250,000. The administration is looking to council for suggestions and approval of a grant application project. Projects identified by the administration include the paving of the Canal Trail staging area and walkway to Highway 3, rehabilitation of Gyro Park, an arena dehumidifier. Additional projects were discussed this morning in the committee of the whole, and I'll leave it to, I guess, I'll just further clarify that the rehabilitation of Gyro Park discussion included development of or replacement of the pier that is but isn't, and also potentially there was discussion also about removing the pavement and in the U and replacing it with grass. There was also discussions about the renovation of the Arts Council building as well, were projects that were discussed, and the direction was to bring this to this council meeting for specific direction on which project would take priority. In terms of implications, the community would benefit from improved community assets. Organizationally, the time to complete the application, budget, additional funds from federal sources would decrease local input, and although the administration recommended that Canal Walkway be paved, the direction that we received from Council's discussion this morning was to bring forward the additional projects of the Gyro Beach rehabilitation, including the replacement of the pier at Gyro Beach, and a secondary project was the renovation of the Arts Council building.
Thank you, Mr. Romanko. So this is again, with this short deadline, you really have to act fast. We'll try to get it in there for the second. They're talking about another series coming by in the late fall in November, but we'll try to see if we can get in there right now. And of course, that pier was there, and there was an ice storm approximately 3 years ago that just actually picked up what pier we had there then and smashed it to pieces. So this is a replacement pier that we're attempting to get in. Why we have the two projects there is it might qualify and it might not. This is for replacement and rehab. It's not for new infrastructure. So it already has to have been there, and hence we're looking at that pier. So Council Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'd like to craft that motion with that in mind, with that priority being the pier.
Okay. And the seconder, Councillor Plant, and speaking to it, Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just one quick word about that, just so that we can, be down on the record about how clear we are about this. I think it fits the profile and the criteria that's been outlined in the grant program, and that document is included with this. And, for public safety reasons, we removed that old dock. It was a great amenity in our community, used by hundreds and hundreds of people over the years and that kind of thing. And, just a great project and an opportunity for us to replace that.
Great. Thank you. Councillor Pond?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, no, I just, same thing as Councillor Rhodes just mentioned. As I was coming here for the summer holidays when I was a kid with my family, I remember that pier, and it was always busy down in that area. And I think this is a great chance to revive that pier and start to work on that area. So yeah, this came up, and when the pier actually was brought up, it really piqued my interest, and I think it would be a great addition to get back. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? I just as we let some of our imaginations start flowing on this a bit, we were starting to look at some of the things like wheelchair accessibility, and we have had a request in the past for a swimming platform for people with disabilities, and perhaps we could get that into there. And this, piers are pretty darn neat things. If you go to White Rock or over on Vancouver Island, I was in Campbell River a couple of years back, and you certainly go down to the pier, and it's a walking structure. It's dry. It's not a floating type of structure at all. So this could be a real great addition to the point right about where the diving board used to be. Maybe we could do the diving board from 1960.
Pictures of it.
Yes, there is lots of pictures of it. Anyway, all in favor of this infrastructure? Opposed? That has been carried unanimously. Thank you very much. And that brings us to the additional item, which was Jackpine Lane. Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to give a little background on this because it came up this morning, and just so it wasn't on part of our agenda package. But Jackpine Lane is a small lane that parallels Highway 3 over just off of Cottonwood Drive, and it is very small, and then it flares out into a normal-sized street further to the east. We've had 3 representations now from residents who live along that street, who talk about people driving very quickly and very fast, recklessly down there, and without due regard to the pedestrians that go there, the children who come in and out of the rear access to the Dairy Queen, and people who might be pedestrians or bike riders and so on. So we have over several years we've instituted some signage that reduces the speed, and large signs. We last year put in a speed hump near the end of the narrow and the beginning of the wider section, and we were advised this morning by residents that these 2 actions that we took were unfortunately not effective in reducing the speed which people use. And so we know that it's been talked about before that we might close that and make it only available to emergency vehicles of various kinds, like the fire and the police and the ambulance and the garbage pickup. And so with that in mind, I would like to propose that the following, that Council resolves that a public notice be given before the end of July 2012 regarding the closure of Jackpine Lane as a through road.
Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, seconding that, please. Discussion. Councillor Ryan.
Well, just to say, in addition to the preface that I gave, that I hope that will cover it. There is a public process involved in this, even though it may be not a final closure by building a wall or whatever, making it into just a cul-de-sac. But that we will find out. But it's clearly in the interest of public safety and in the quiet enjoyment of our residents that something like this be done. And we've taken a couple of steps. They've been ineffective, and so we're looking at this to get public input into something more drastic.
Thank you. Over to council, please. Any input from council? I just would like to re-emphasize that this is fairly important. This is closure we're talking about here, and it's a full public process. There will be an opportunity for input. There will be notices in a couple of issues of the local newspaper advising people to come forward if they have any objections and that. And would it, I guess I don't know whether it's a real public, is it a public hearing that we go through also?
I'm not sure at this particular point in
Right.
time. Because it just came up this morning, we haven't checked out the legal steps.
Sure.
Whether, in terms of road closures and alley, what type of
Right.
due notice do we
Right.
have to provide
Yep.
for it? So,
But if you are concerned, get a hold of us or City Hall or emails or whatever's going to work for you, and we'll make sure that all public input is received. So hearing nothing further, all in favor of that motion, opposed, carried unanimously. And that brings us to some bill paying time. General and Sun Bowl cash requirements to June the 16th. The general fund, $2,711,256,000.15. Sun Bowl Arena, $14,991.83. And payroll accounts in the amount of $70,397.20. All to be authorized, and the payroll accounts to be received for information. No discussion. That will be adopted by consensus. Thank you. The next report is the building permit report. Just about a bunch of small items totaling about $227,000. No new house construction. And although there is a $525,000 repair to one of the condo complexes in town. Unfortunately, it's that leaky envelope situation that dates back from when they were built, and they just didn't get it right when they were going through that roof structure and that. And I think this is the second major one that we've seen in Osoyoos here. So it's unfortunate for the folks, but one of those issues. So I'm looking for a motion to receive. Rhodes, McCordoff, all in favor. That has been received. Next item would be the CAO report. Mr. Romanko, please.
thank you, Mayor Wells. Just a few of the activities that our administration and crews have been involved in over the last couple of weeks. Starting in the community development area, we're just updating you that the second Concert in the Park series was completed on Saturday, and drew some local entertainment that was very, very good and enjoyed by the people that attended. There'll be a third concert in the series on August 4th with the theme of is Art in the Park, and it'll have music and dance and art. They're also working with the Tumblewood Film Festival on a series of short films to be shown August 18th, trying to grow this into a major event for Osoyoos. Set up a 3-month trial agreement with the local radio-controlled flying club to use the airport runway, and also worked with the Okanagan Valley Economic Development Society on a community profile. Community services, the insurance for the flood damage has been approved, and the leaks repairs will commence as soon as possible. Within the next 2 or 3 weeks, all the flooring will be completed. So we're asking to get a rush put on the staff room and the #1 room on the main floor, and we won't have to cancel any programs, but we will have a very modern-looking building due to that particular accident with the fire suppression system. The ice at the arena will be ready July 20th, and the dehumidifier will be tendered out as soon as possible and posted on BC Bid. That's for the arena. And they've also installed new signs at the dog park to make them more visible from the road. And attendance at our summer playground program has been extremely positive. In terms of corporate services, updating the employee handbook, followed up on a number of municipal ticket infractions issued by Bylaw. In terms of Bylaw, from July 1st to 10th, they were just a sample of some of the things that they were involved in. 7 transient camping situations, 33 unsightly premises, 11 dogs at large, 3 watering issues, and 14 warnings for traffic and transients bathing in the fountain. Okay. Interesting enough, in the month of June, they had 444 incident contacts, including 195 dogs, 139 smoking in the park situations where they talk to people about those infractions. In planning, the sign bylaw and other council reports kept people busy, and also they've made public the Main Street Use Survey, which is coming in fast and furious. The opportunity for residents to comment on how they'd like to see some changes on the main street, including the potential for outdoor eateries, parallel parking, and a number of different comment areas. Public Works has been working to eliminate a sewer smell issue down from the border area, monitoring the Dividend Ridge Trail project, and that particular project, the paving is not completed yet, but the trail itself is done. The lights should be arriving here probably, I think, July 27th, so probably within the next month that project should be all finished up. And they held a pre-construction for the Spartan Drive development, and also today the gate was installed at the Gyro Park U. The CAO, just a couple things, trying to organize the grand opening of the Northwest Sewer Project. We've got all the lift stations powered up now, and they're just doing testing and that. So that project physically should be pretty well complete, and very, very large project that we'll like to see in operation here soon. So the finance people are just getting organized to send letters out to all the potential new users that they can start hooking up and going. A few human resource issues, including restructuring and development of a salary policy, and then also providing some assistance on various other staff projects. So with that, that's where we're at. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Romanko. Certainly always lots going on. Going to the councillor reports. First one out of the chute on Buckaroo. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Councillor Ryan.
Well, that's certainly in tune with the 100th anniversary of the Stampede. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I have a few things to report, and one of the things that has been pleasant over the last 2 weeks since the last meeting was participating in some celebrations of significant events by residents. And I'll just mention one, and that was Betty Brown, who celebrated her 90th birthday, and she's been a fixture of the town for many years and was a real pioneer, not just in Osoyoos, but throughout British Columbia. And many stories were told as I brought council and the mayor's good wishes to her at the senior center, and they were talking about how with her large family, she was raising them, homeschooling them, cooking and everything in a little shack up in Whistler before it was discovered by the world. And sounds like she was quite a resilient woman and mother. Anyway, that was really quite pleasant. Also joined members of council and the mayor in meeting with the Minister Bell and MLA Slater, and I had the opportunity to accompany them as well on a tour of our new waterfront developments, and so they were very impressed by those, and we expressed, of course, our gratitude for the support that we've received through our resort municipality grants, and how these have helped not only visitors but also our residents. Attended the Sunshine Festival in Oliver. There wasn't a lot of sunshine, so we didn't have to put on a lot of sunscreen, but anyway, it was a nice time ahead by all, and of course, as usual, Channel 18 was right there filming all the action, and it was very pleasant, and nice to support our sister city up there, just a few kilometers up the road. The IJC, we sort of accepted and received that little
newsletter from the Water Board, but in there they said, and I won't steal the mayor's thunder, but they did talk about the IJC, and I'll just tell you that the International Joint Commission, which governs the all things to do with the height of Osoyoos Lake, are having a public consultation that you can go to next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but a week Wednesday, at the Best Western at 7 o'clock, and that's on the 25th of July. So I invite you to go there and find out all the good things that are happening and have your say. Also, we all received through the mail, and also some of us through e-news, a sidewalk survey. It's a nice, colorful survey, and we're not only anxious that you fill that in and submit it, but also going to give you a chance to sit in our town hall park and talk about it tomorrow from 12 to 2, or from 4 to 6 if you like. So if you have any questions about it, or if you'd find it maybe easier to talk about it and have somebody else check off some of your comments, why, that's possible too. And we talked about the music in the park, and I hope that as the next one comes up near the end of, is it near the end of the month, or is it in August?
August 4th.
August 4th, so the long weekend, the BC weekend. Come out, but in the meantime, you may hear some tones of a nice electronic organ playing on Main Street, and that's Thor, the pianist, and he's just absolutely exquisite. I'd like to see a little standoff between him and Lloyd Fairweather, you know. I mean, that would really be something. They're both very accomplished. Anyway, drop by Thor, and if you appreciate what he's doing, why, drop something in his hat. That's my report.
Thanks, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Plante, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. I also just wanted to say thank you to our neighbors to the north, Oliver, for the International Sunshine Festival and Parade, for us being a part of that. Once I figured out how our hybrid car worked, I could drive it. So that was a lot of fun, and my daughter and wife had a great time at the festival, so congrats to Oliver for putting on a great weekend. What I want to do is I want to read a letter that I received in May from a good friend of mine named Kim Dragseth. It has to do with her two sons. I'm a mother in need of a space to do behavior therapy for my children. This town is in dire need of a behavior center for autism. I have two boys, ages 5 and 3, both autistic. When we received our first diagnosis for our oldest son of autism, they were getting small fund, which they used for a center based in Penticton. The money ran out in less than 6 months, mainly because costs of travel, professionals, and myself she had to make. It costs hundreds more in travel time than actual time spent on intervention therapy per day. Having recently received a diagnosis for her youngest son, the two sons now are both on the spectrum, and my little house has turned into a center base for the therapy. She employs 7 people right now from her home, full-time babysitter, behavior consultant, speech pathologist, 3 behavior assistants, and an occupational therapist. This does not include the preschool teachers and support workers that they need to do the preschool setting. Now, I have the 2 children in the needs of their therapy and need double the amount of people. My children must go to preschool to learn how to socialize properly. My oldest is supported in school for 2 days a week. He used to have 5, but they just don't have the people qualified to take care of him. So he has to go alone on 3 days. Can you imagine how many families in Osoyoos and Oliver are in need of some of the care? She sent me this in May, and what she was looking for was basically a space where she could employ people living in Osoyoos to work with our young children, to guide them and prepare them for kindergarten. The space would help other parents and families struggling with autism meet others and support groups to know that they weren't alone. What else did she mention on there? The space would also give us an opportunity to see professionals such as speech pathologists, occupational therapists, and behavior consultants, helping to answer some of the questions and development questions as their kids went into school. And that was in May, early May. And since that time, with persistence and with some great people and volunteers, she is now ready to open. the Osoyoos Autism Behavioral Center. And it's actually located in 6609 89th Street, which is actually at the daycare just below there. They have a room there. And she's just unbelievable woman. Brian, her husband, they both work full-time. They've both done all the training, have sent out consultants and people to work with their kids all over the province to help out with their situation, and now they want to give back, and this is something that they've created. It's called the Osoyoos Autism Behavioral Center, and what it provides is behavioral intervention training, parent support, and monthly meetings. Their first one is actually tomorrow. It's every third Wednesday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m., and it's facilitated by Kim Dragseth. There's information packages for new parents and dealing with these autism situations or with an autistic child, packages and community contact information, peer one-on-one social group play groups, guidance in running home-based intervention programs. So she's really gone out and with, again, the perseverance and with also the great volunteers and people with that we have in this community with their support. And so what I'm asking is that we all get out on Saturday, July 21st, 2012, between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. They're doing a whole day. They have 3 locations. The OABC, which is going to be located downstairs the daycare, the Curves, Osoyoos, and Bylaw Foods. And what they're doing is meet and greets with the staff over at the center, get a chance for the kids to play. They're going to have some playgrounds set up. They're going to do raffles and bake sales because they want to make this a town grand opening, but also a fundraiser. They're going to be doing a giant garage sale at Curves, and all proceeds will go to the OABC and scholarships also for the kids. Then they're going to have some live music playing at 2 p.m. with what they call Fatty Fatty is what they're called. And they'll be there, and there's some prizes as well. Golf for 2, one night stay at Watermark Resort, and wine for 2, a wine tour for 2 from Unveil Shuttles. So I look forward to seeing everybody out there, and what a great job. I just wanted to mention Kim Dragseth and Brian Dragseth and all the effort that they've done for their children, and now creating this to provide a service for some other families in need. Thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Councillor Plott. Just before you turn that, could you have to turn that back on again? Could you repeat that date, please?
Yes, that would be their grand opening, the town grand opening fundraiser, which is this Saturday, July 21st, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. all across the town. They're going to be doing, they're over at Curves doing a garage sale, and all those proceeds will go to the OABC and scholarships for the kids. As well as doing some stuff there by the daycare for a giant playground for the kids to play at. And there'll also be donations, obviously, at the Bylaw Foods and win some prizes. So again, July 21st, this Saturday. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Plott. Gee, it's nice to have people like that in our town and being a part of the community and pushing forward with this great service. There's certainly. Councillor Plott and I were talking. I said, "Gee, you know, I don't recall that whether it was misdiagnosed in the early days or what. But boy, there sure is a lot of young kids with autism these days. So all the best and all the success for that organization and that couple, the Dragseths. Councillor Rhodes, please."
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'm going to take a pass and let everybody savor that last report. That was great. Good news, well-motivated people and going somewhere in this town.
Great.
So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor McCordock, please.
Yes, thank you. I just have a few things that I wanted to mention because we're not going to meet again until the middle of August. And most of us have company, visitors. My brother's coming up to visit me this weekend, hasn't been up here for years, so I'm looking forward to that. So just some suggestions of things that you can do yourself or that you can take your visitors to that are absolutely terrific in this town. First of all, this weekend, July the 20th, that would be Friday night, the Francis and Larry and the crew at Home Hardware are putting on their first dance. This is the 26th year of it. So the 2 dates for the street dances are July the 20th, and the next one is August the 10th. And when I was reading the paper, I have been down in Vancouver for 5 days, and I read the Osoyoos Times when I came home. And I'd like to say congratulations to the Desert Model Railroad. They earned 4.5 stars out of 5 on TripAdvisor. I think they said they were the best visitor center or visitor experience in Osoyoos. So congratulations to them. And the other thing I read in the paper was that we have a faulty weather station. And so I think that apparently on the 23rd and the 24th of June, it did not read the precipitation properly. And so I think that that probably gives us a bit of a push to try and update our weather station and make sure we get it done sooner rather than later. A couple of other things that are on. One, tomorrow at the Desert Center, July the 17th from 7:30 to 9, it's called Discover Nightlife. And so you can go up. I think there's a cost. I'm not sure whether there's a family cost, but I did read the price of $10 in the paper. And you can go on a guided tour and hopefully see bats, coyotes, scorpions, I'm not sure what else, but you're on a raised walkway. So that's a great activity, and it doesn't often happen at night, so that's a special one. Also on July the 28th, the Desert Center is holding a special event that they have each year called Romancing the Desert. And it's well supported by people in the community and by wineries and lots of other restaurants and so on. So there probably are still tickets available for that, and there is a tax receipt for it. So that's on Saturday, July the 28th. And the other thing is that, plus all of those things, there are 2 other areas that I particularly like to take my visitors to. One is the Osoyoos Museum, which offers great opportunities down there to see things that have been an old canoe that came out of the lake years and years ago, and the old schoolhouse. And it's a great place to take visitors, and it's cool in there in case it's hot. And the other one is the Desert Cultural Center. I often take visitors over there because there's a terrific snake show and powwow, and so please look in the paper and see what types of activities are on and enjoy the next month with your visitors. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McCordoff. I will just close this out fairly quickly. We've had company. Martha's mom and 14-year-old nephew were out from Ontario, so I've just gone through 2 weeks of what we do around here. And I'd have to say one of the highlights was the Kettle Valley Railway in Summerland. I'd never been on it all these years, and went to the one that has the train robbery, and about a dozen people come thundering down out of the hills shooting guns and horses, and all the kids on the train have been deputized, and it is just one heck of a good show. If you got family or anyone like that, anyone with kids, it's just an absolute must. It was just really great. The price was reasonable, and there was a big barbecue at the end of it. It was well, about 4 hours, I guess, and with the train ride and everything. And you go, I think you go about 12 miles down to the Trout Creek and sit out on a trestle. And anyway, a real good show. And then lots of fun around Osoyoos, from Rattlesnake Canyon and when we were at Rattlesnake Canyon, Lynn Crawford was there, who is the Food Network Pitching In. You know the show Pitching In, where she helps lobster fishermen and all of that. So she was in town, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. they were in town doing a cherry session. They were in town for a week, I guess, and they did all their shooting at Greg Norton's, who's a very, very good friend of mine, up at Greg Norton's Cherry Orchard in Oliver. So I don't have any more details. But when I find out, I'll sure, because it'll be real fun to have her and her whole half-hour take on cherry growing in the Okanagan. So that was pretty pleasant. While I had the company, had 3 different experiences on Osoyoos Lake, which were just wonderful. Went kayaking, and one day, and that was sort of a dry run because did water rescue for the Desert Half Ironman. 7 o'clock in the morning out there rescuing some of the great number of swimmers that they had registered. So you do the water rescue there. So that was the kayaking component, a couple days of kayaking. And then a friend of mine loaned me a boat. So I had Martha's mom and nephew out on the boat. So that was a great experience going around the lake. And then went to Desert Dream and rented watercraft, personal watercraft, jet ski thing. Scared the heck out of me. I'm way too old for that kind of stuff, I'll tell you. You couldn't open that thing up. It was just way, way too much power there. That's nuts. So 3 different very, very enjoyable experiences on Osoyoos Lake. Been busy in the office here. Lots of developers coming. They want to talk. They're looking at different ways, and of course you're always doing some trades, and things are getting, what can we do this, can we do that? So they've been coming around through the planning department and that. Pat Bell, the Ministry of Jobs, Industry and Tourism. I don't have that quite right, but close enough. He was through, and I ended up meeting him about 2 or 3 different times under different banners, and that was really good. And there's a possible little breakthrough, a little tweak on some of our resort municipal funding, which could be a real bonus to the town. So that was neat when you get to meet these ministers, and you're going, well, here's what's happening. And he was actually quite shocked at how this was being played out. We don't have the fix for it yet, but if we do, it'll be a happy face day. And the Oliver Parade, and that is it. So have a good afternoon, folks.
You going to talk about the IJC?
Oh yes, sure I will. And I have it written down here too. The IJC, the public hearings that are coming up. It's I'll be going to both of them, but it's the 24th in Oroville at the high school in the Common, and on the 25th it's here at the Best Western. And this will really be as they head into a new 25-year agreement, could be a 35-year agreement. That's all up for negotiation too. On the operating, basically it's on the operating levels of Osoyoos Lake. And there was a bit of a victory here, and it goes back to to the town of Osoyoos and to the Okanagan Basin Water Board, where we said that we really didn't think that the flow over the Zozel Dam should be included in any agreements, because when you start talking flow, are you not talking guarantees? And right now there are no guarantees that so many cubic feet of water have to go down over the dam or down the river. There'd be an understanding certainly of the fish habitat and things like that, but it's not mandated. So the Americans were starting to talk about flows over the dam, and it really got everyone's attention. We did respond, and that seems to have gone away. We are back to talking the traditional levels, that 9/11/5, and certain elevations trigger certain things, and really looking at a more coordinated effort of orchestrating those flows. and making it more seamless than that. I mean, the lakes are high right now, and I know, if you have high water, you don't have a beach. So we get lots of input from people doing that. So if you're interested at all, the 25th at 7 o'clock at the Best Western, as Councillor Ryan had said, and that should cover that off. Have a great afternoon. We're getting out of here, and this must be one of our earliest meetings. So have a good day. I need that motion to adjourn. Councillor Ryan Rhodes, all in favor? We're adjourned. Good afternoon, folks.